terrifying. It was terrifying because I'm not German, so I just managed to like integrate and be class as German in this whole new society. I'm Romanian. I'm from Transylvania, and I moved to Germany when I was 14. So, I had this awkward period of being a teenager in a country you don't quite understand and trying to be accepted by people, having a thick accent, getting rid of that accent, finally passing only to go, I really don't want to be here.
You have really good accent reduction, though. I mean, you
Oh,
actually do. You have very eloquent speaking on many
well,
of the words you
I sound like an angry Scotsman most of the time, but I'm not mad at it. Like I'm fine with that.
Wait, people
So
think you're angry or like a no, your voice is actually, I could tell you had some sort of reduction just because, of course, I know about these types of things because it's so eloquent and poised the way you say certain words.
thank you.
But
That's
I think to
thank
a general person, you don't sound like an angry Scotsman. You're good. You're good. You're
well,
good.
it's all, I keep bad company, so what can you expect?
Yeah, we know about him.
Hmm.
We know about him. So he told me
Yeah.
actually a little bit about Duncarron. So what do you do with it?
Yeah.
I'm curious about it because it's
So
cool.
done as in myself
Yeah,
particularly.
you.
Yeah. So Duncarron, the way it works is Charlie's baby. And when I came in, it was being managed and then it wasn't being managed. And it was a case of picking up just work that fell by the wayside. And I would help where I could. And then that role developed more and more and more and more. And now I'm currently the director of the company. But really that's a fancy word for you got to do everything.
Yeah, but it's an important role for a woman. It's actually very
Yeah.
inspiring. There's
Yes.
lots of people who watch this. You literally could be inspiring somebody out there, like, oh, I can
Yeah.
do that. I mean, Charlie told me a little bit about how Duncarron does like these events, you film
Mhm.
stuff there. And then I saw like you do like a casting director sort of thing. Like you
Yes,
got hands everywhere.
yeah, it's different. This entity that we now as a
Mhm.
as a couple run has
Yeah,
many foundations. So
yeah,
Duncan, the village
much.
the village is like the venue. So there's a
Right.
lot of venue stuff, venue hire, it's a film set, it's a location, we do events, there's education stuff going on. And then Combat International is a different company, but a company that very much supports Duncarron. So Combat International is the combatants that go on set with Charlie. So that's that side of it. And but they also raise the funds to build the village. Um, and so it's all intertwined, but it's separate entities. And casting is in terms of we do get requests for actors as well now, which is new. It used to be just combatants, people that looked really good fighting. We do get requests for actors and minor roles and women and children. So we kind of developed that side of it and opened up our books to various different characters and people. So yeah, that's where the casting comes in. And it's just something that Charlie's not, he doesn't have A, scope for it, and B, interest for it. So that's just what I do. If something comes in, I would book people and place them in roles and suggest them for stuff. And if they get taken and do really well, which has happened, I'm very, very happy.
I mean, casting must be kind of weird, no? Like you went from acting, right? And now you're doing casting and you know that other side of things. So it's like, how does that go? How does that go? Like, do you feel
Um,
bad like if you know somebody like really well?
No, because it depends if you gatekeep or not. Because if you have, I have no interest in not telling people the truth because I'm not. With casting, I mean, I do the casting at our end. They still will have to go and do the casting on the other end as well.
Oh wait,
So
so
it's
you're
a
like
case of,
in between.
yes, I'm in
Oh,
between.
okay. Okay.
Sometimes I do get to do the end of line casting as well, but that's for our own productions. But if a different production, an outside production comes to me, I get to pick the people that are suitable, that I know have the experience and are suitable. And then the nice thing is I get to prep them and prime them because most of them are not professional actors. And I get to give them a little bit of an insight because I understand the hustle.
Oh,
I've
right,
been
right.
there in both chairs. That's actually the bit I like the most is because you can encourage people into their natural abilities and then send them on to succeed. And they're so surprised when they do. It's like, yeah, of course you would get it because you're good at what you do. The one thing that I think as a creative I take away from it though is especially for young people, don't take it personal. because it hits you in the
Yeah.
feels and you really want it and you
Yeah.
give your best. It could be as small as the director's niece wanted the part and then you were out the window, or they found someone, a more petite size because the costume department, like here, we have one costume department we used to work with, Angels. They don't do anything over a size 8 for a woman.
Okay.
Right. So if you're size 10, they're like, oh, we don't have the budget to make her stuff from scratch. If it's a small part, we just get, the smaller girl.
Right.
It can be silly, silly stuff that gets you kicked out. It can be the fact that someone doesn't like your face, just simple as that.
Yeah.
And it's it's heartbreaking at times. And would I have known what I know now about the industry, I would have given myself a bit more of a break,
Mm.
because in the end of the day, it does come down to human preference.
Right. Right.
And it's very biased. There's no such thing as neutrality.
Oh no. God, no.
It is,
God,
it
no.
is, it's a very nepotistic industry.
Yes, I mean you're saying the truth. You're saying everything every actor out there knows is that it's incredibly hard to top the wall unless you know somebody who is really up there, not just know somebody. It's nearly impossible. You have to really make sure in today's day and age you're exposed. You have exposure
Mhm.
and you're out
It
there and visible. I mean, there's been things that like I've auditioned for and I thought like this was it. But I have learned those that you think are it are probably you're never getting them. I mean, it's so weird. The ones that like you think you didn't do well on are the ones you get. I don't even for acting. It's strange.
is
It's reverse.
strange. I
Yeah,
think because we're so used to, like, we perform, but we also like watch ourselves perform
true.
while we do it. And I think when you think, oh, I did really well, you're probably too busy watching yourself than being
You're
in the
not
moment.
focused. Yeah,
And because it's the strangest thing what people pick up on, and
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
hardest thing to do. The hardest thing to do for us is to let go of that incessant need to control every little bit
Mhm.
about yourself. And
Right.
then you get nervous and your voice breaks, and then you're like, oh, I messed up.
You got to
But
go with it. You have to keep going.
you've got
Yeah.
getting to that. And I think getting older is a good thing in this industry, in the sense of the older you get, the less of a shit you give. Excuse my French.
You can say it.
It's,
People won't say
you,
it.
and the more experience you have, the less you care. This one job in the grand scheme of things will not change your life. Sometimes it can, but sometimes it won't. And you just do it and you allow yourself to relax
Right.
into it. Whether I remember, oh my God, back when I started, I would obsess about what to wear, how to present, how to stand, how my voice. And it just makes you insane, and you have this super overcritical idea of yourself, and you just pull yourself to bits. And looking back, you're like, I did, I was all right. I was good. Why was I being so hard on myself? So yeah, just take a chill pill. What's meant for you won't
Right.
pass you by, and just don't give up. And the good thing is, in the UK and in America, the dream is still alive. You can still break into industry sideways, through the window, through the basement. You can still make it.
Tunneling.
So just the crazier things have happened. That's the thing I really love about the UK and the USA.
Have you ever done acting in America or no?
No, not in America, just in the UK.
Would you want to? Or like,
Yeah, I mean, why not?
that'd be cool. Oh my God,
America's
we have to get
dream. We
together.
love the US. We love the US. We've done for my honeymoon, I've done the Route 66 with Charlie on a
Oh,
bike.
really? Oh, cool. Did you guys like it? Did you
Oh
laugh
God,
or
that
no?
was amazing. Yeah.
You
We
know,
love
he
the US.
he said something very funny. During the interview I did with Charlie, he said, he was talking about East Coast and West Coast, and I said to
Mhm.
him, "You do know I'm from the East Coast, but like America," and I'm so confused because I was like, "Where does chick come from?" Because in America, that's not a nickname here. And he was like, "Oh yeah, on the East Coast, this is what they, call people."
Yeah.
West, and I was like, "Yes." I
It's
don't know because
it's just
obviously
the
we're two
thing.
different continents across the
Hmm.
pond. He told me though that you guys are doing like new movies. Are you going to be starring in any of them?
Yes. So see, when the
Fun.
fashion film I mentioned to you
Yeah,
before, um, because we only had pictures of our costume department, I thought, some clients, they just need visual representation
right.
of if you take a picture of a garment on a hanger, it doesn't look the same as it would on
Right.
a person. And it doesn't look the same in motion and on camera
Right.
because
Right.
especially with natural fibers, like you can't use polyester, you can't use sheen because the camera picks it up. So, it looks really bad. So I thought, why not make a movie? And then first movie would have been Fire and Lace, which is the one which won the awards. And then go on to do a movie about the combat department, which is just lots and lots and lots of fighting and gore and special effects, and then so on and so on. But because I only wanted to make a fashion film with no real story, but then whilst we were working on it, a
Right.
story did emerge, and we just couldn't help ourselves, and we did some acting, and we did the thing, and it
Sure.
went on to be quite successful. So we're like, why not just continue to do the thing, do the whole package? And our second short now is called The Jacobite by name. It's gonna do the festival circuit next year, and then it's gonna be out on release to the public. And we're very excited because it's fired up so many people to come up with ideas for new short films. And obviously, we sit at the source. We have a costume department, we have
Right.
actors, we
You have
have the
everything.
location. We live in Scotland. Why not? So it's opened up this whole new, let's produce our own stuff. And Charlie has a fantastic knowledge of history. So those really cool niche stories that you haven't seen, they've not been done, and you're like, oh yeah, this needs to be a movie. So it's the place we are at now. We're very
You
excited.
guys have like a platform it could be watched on yet, or has it been picked up?
No, no, not yet. We haven't picked one yet, but we'll get to distribution and release soon. Yeah.
Definitely. Cara, it is amazing having you on today. You are like Linda. You're like a tiny little pretty bubble with so much love and energy. I love you. You're so sweet. Honestly,
Oh,
it's
thank
a
you.
very pleasant way to spend my morning. Where can people like check out Duncarron and see all this stuff that's going on?
Yeah, so keep an eye on Instagram and Facebook, Duncan Medieval Village. We're on TikTok as well. And yeah, I mean, keep an eye on Charlie. He does some really cool stuff at the moment, and he has some really cool releases coming out, but he's not allowed to talk about them. So
He was
keep an
good.
eye
He was good,
on
by the way. He didn't do it. He didn't like. He was good.
No, 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 we'll get the waggy finger if we do. It's very, very cool, and I think a lot of people will enjoy it. So keep an eye on Charlie Chikalan's site. And I need to get better because my site is private because I kind of mix and match private stuff with movie stuff. I need to like make an
Separate,
Instagram that's just for work because it's getting more and more busy. And
right?
yeah, I need to do it.
Thank you, Cara.
Yeah, thank you, Lily. Such a pleasure to meet you.
Oh.
Catch up on Lillee Jean Talks live episodes on lilleejean.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and basically anywhere you listen, watch, or see podcasts, or in my case, a celebrity talk show.